This is China, a country that has been the center of controversies in Western media. From the one-child policy, labor rights, to the recent COVID-19 outbreaks, China's economy weathered all kinds of hits. After a long period of economic stagnation, China was not even in the world's top 8 economies 40 years ago. Today, thanks to an incredible social and economic transformation that began in the late 1970s, China is on track to overtake the United States as the world's #1 economy within a few decades, if not sooner. With a GDP of $14.7 trillion, China is the second largest economy in the world behind the United States, which has the largest economy with $20 trillion. It's hardly surprising to say that China is a big country, by all metrics. China is the world's most populous country with a population exceeding 1.4 billion people. With a total area of 9.6 million square kilometers, it is the world's third largest country by total land area. The national capital is Beijing, and its most populous city is Shanghai. Their economy had periods of growth and decline, and COVID-19 had a toll on the country's economy. In the next few minutes, we will explain how China's economy became such a powerhouse, and then we will look into how their economy is doing today and if they will ever surpass the US as the world's largest economy. If you like to see more videos like this, drop a like and subscribe with the bell notification on to receive a notification with every upload. So, how did China become the economic superpower that it is today? The rate of China's industrial growth is unmatched in history. Within a few decades after initiating widespread economic reforms, China emerged as an economic superpower. The largely agrarian economy transitioned into an advanced economy with the expansion of its manufacturing and services sector. China's industrial growth strategy paved the way for the country to become the largest manufacturer. Due to its industrial strength, it began to be called the world's factory. In the early years of the People's Republic of China, the economy was largely agriculturally based. Due to its policies, it had very limited linkages with the outer world. The economic progress was sluggish and devastating, as millions of Chinese people faced extreme poverty. In 1978, China's GDP was $149 billion and its share in the global economy was only 1.75%. For a country of 956 million people, the size of the economy was way too low. In comparison, the United States at that time had a population of 222 million, but its GDP amounted to $2.35 trillion. From 1978 onwards, China made a remarkable transformation and its economy expanded manifolds. Small towns and port cities turned into industrial hubs, and the demand for Chinese products grew exponentially across the globe. The opening up of the Chinese economy also attracted huge amounts of foreign inflows, with many Western companies shifting their operations to China. This further boosted industrial activity in China and has gradually turned China into an economic superpower. Chinese industries also benefited immensely from the transfer of knowledge and technology from Western countries. They were able to employ them efficiently, which contributed to the greater competitiveness of Chinese products in global markets. Following the success of China, many developing countries and their leaders have looked to emulate China. Perhaps, the main reason to follow the Chinese model is the fact that China was able to lift millions of its people out of poverty and considerably improve the standard of living across the country. The unprecedented growth rate over a period of 40 years enabled China to move past many developed countries in terms of GDP. In the modern globalized era, many countries have struggled to compete with industrialized countries. China, however, was able to mobilize its resources and overcome the challenges traditionally faced by developing countries. The Chinese provided their local industries the right incentives to establish themselves locally and internationally. That sounds great, but how is China's economy performing now? Well, things are not looking so bright. When Xi Jinping came to power a decade ago, China had just overtaken Japan to become the world's second largest economy. It has grown at a phenomenal pace since then. With an average annual growth rate of 6.7% since 2012, China has seen one of the fastest sustained expansions for a major economy in history. In 2021, its GDP hit nearly $18 trillion, constituting 18.4% of the global economy. Until recently, some economists were predicting that China would become the world's biggest economy by 2030, unseating the United States. Now, the situation looks much less promising. As Xi prepares for his second decade in power, he faces mounting economic challenges, including an unhappy middle class. If he is not able to bring the economy back on track, China faces slowing innovation and productivity, along with rising social discontent. In recent years, Xi's policies have caused some massive headaches in China. A sweeping crackdown by Beijing on the country's private sector, that began in late 2020, and its unwavering commitment to a zero-COVID policy, have hit the economy and job market hard. If anything, Xi's leadership may have dampened some of the country's growth dynamic. More than $1 trillion has been wiped off the market value of Alibaba and Tencent, the crown jewels of China's tech industry, over the last 2 years. Sales growth in the sector has slowed, and tens of thousands of employees have been laid off, leading to record youth unemployment. Xi's agenda of redistributing wealth is by cracking down on large players in the economy to fight income inequality. By doing so, he is not going about it the right way, and is risking the future of China's businesses with tighter state controls. The 69-year-old leader launched his crackdown to rein in private businesses that were growing too powerful. He also wants to redistribute wealth in the society, under his common prosperity goal. But, so far, these measures have pushed the Chinese economy into one of its worst economic crises in 4 decades. The International Monetary Fund recently cut its forecast for China's growth to 3.2% this year, representing a sharp slowdown from 8.1% in 2021. That would be the country's second lowest growth rate in 46 years, better only than 2020 when the initial coronavirus outbreak pummeled the economy. To wrap it up, China is still the powerhouse that it is. It is on track to take over the US as the largest economy in the world. Its year-over-year growth has been exceptional, and their explosive growth made them a role model to developing economies. That being said, it is not going to be an easy journey. If the Chinese government is willing to continue growing, they need to make economic-based reforms, not political-based. China's per capita GDP is only $12,556 in comparison to America's $69,287. This shows that there is great room for growth considering their large labor force and vast resources. Their industrial, financial and technology sectors continue to grow, but at a slower pace due to various reasons. Their foreign policy is also detrimental for their growth because China needs the world, but the world increasingly needs China.